Hey everyone, Richard Robbins here. Well, the numbers are in for the greater Vancouver area for June of 2022. Now, we know we've got a changing market. We know we got rising interest rates, obviously trying to get control of inflation with those interest rates, and it's starting to affect the real estate market. So a few things I want to do. Number one, I want to take you through the sales numbers so you understand what's going on, but I also want to compare the first half of 2022 over the last 5 years, because sometimes we have to put these numbers in perspective. If you just read the headlines, you would think that the market is over, right? And that is not the case. I'm also going to share with you what the benchmark price is over the last 5 years as well. So let's get started. So here what you have is you have January to obviously the end of June for this year. You got sales, you got active listings, months of inventory, which as always is just take your active listings and divide your sales into it, and it gives you your months of inventory, and then here is your benchmark price. So if we look at this, you can see we started January 2,285 sales. As normally happening as, the spring starts, we went higher, 3,424, and then March, which was the highest month so far this year, 4,300. April started to taper off a little bit at 3,200, May down to 29. You can see June down to 2,400, which is off 16% from May. Now look at months of inventory, because obviously your active listings will determine months of inventory when you divide sales into. You can see, if we look here, 4 to 6 months is going to be balanced. Anything below 4 is going to be sellers. Anything above 6 is going to be buyer's market. We started with very low months of inventory. And then, of course, you can see sales were going up pretty substantially. Months of inventory is coming down. Now, here's what started to happen. Right here when we get to April. Also went to 2.7, went to 3.4, and now we're sitting at 4.3. So really moved into a full balanced market is where it's sitting right now. So let's look at this. This is your sales from July of last year, okay, right through to June of this year. So we did a little line graph for you. So you can see, again, this puts a lot of things in perspective. So we sit here, we look at July of last year, we did 3,300 sales. Now, right here, and when was this? This was March. We did 4,344 sales. So think about that. March of this year was the highest sales numbers we had over the past 12 months. So you can see we went up, and here it was like big month, and then it starts to tail off down here, and we get to 2,444. This year is really interesting. Now, the reason I created this was I think it's important that you take all of the information out there and you make it more insightful for your clients, because buyers and sellers right now have a lot of questions. They have a lot of uncertainty and they want to know what's going on. So if we look at the last 5 years for sales, so you can see 2018 is the yellow one, 2019 right here is more of a black one, 2020 is the gray one. There's COVID, right? Hit there, sales dropped right off of COVID. And then 2021, you can see what's going on here, and the red one, of course, is this year. Now, if we look, you can see this was, I would consider, a more normal market along in here. This is what we're used to, right? And then 2021 was a crazy year. Look at this. We spiked up to over 5,500 sales that took place. And then, of course, it started to tail a little bit, and we come across it here. And then you can see what happened at the end of 2020 after COVID, which it got very busy here. So look at right here, your sales were very high, around that 3,500 mark per month was going on. This year, what happened? We started out just like we did last year, pretty close to last year, and then we're slightly under, and now, of course, we're starting to normalize the market, coming back in to sort of what we saw back in 2018 and 2019. So when you put this in perspective, everybody goes, oh, the market's terrible, sales are down. Yeah, they're down, but what are they down from, right? They're down from the busiest time we ever had, and they're moving into what we call a normalization back to what we saw back in 18 and 19. This is really interesting. So let's look at the first 6 months for the last 5 years, 18 through to 2022. So you can see here, last year, we did 24,700 sales. Okay, I think we would all agree, huge month. Then we go back, 2018, we did 14,000 in the first 6 months, 10,000, and we did 11,000 in 2020. This year, we did 18,647. So, second best first half we've had of the last 5 years. So you see what I mean by we need to put things into perspective sometimes. Because if your customer is just reading the headlines, they would think the bottom's fallen out, real estate market's over. No, it's not. All that's happening is we're starting to normalize a little bit, going back to what is more of a normal market. Prices. So again, this gives you the last 12 months from July 2021. We were sitting here at 1.175. And of course, what happened, prices continued to rise until we hit, March, April, really April of this year. And then, of course, they started to go down a little bit. 1.3, 1.2, 1.2. Look at this. Again. So we just showed you this graph right here for 2022. But let's look at what prices were in 2018, 2019. Then we've got 2020. And then, of course, we get 2021 where prices continue to rise. So somebody sits here and they go, oh, I want to sell my house. But guess what? My neighbor sold in February, and that's the price they want. So they want this price when they're now sitting here. And all of a sudden you show them this, you go, well, just a minute. How long have you owned that house, Mr. and Mrs. Seller? Oh, we've been here 5 years. 5 years. Wow. Well, guess what? We're here now. This is where you used to be. Pretty nice gain, I think, you've had. So again, what's important right now in this marketplace, everybody, is that you educate the consumer so they can see what's really going on. You take information and create insights for them so they have a better understanding of what's happening. Now, as the market continues to change, which it will, I'm going to start creating a lot of different videos that will give you strategies and tactics on how to outperform the market. So if you're interested in being notified when I do that, go to richardrobbins.com and sign up to our email newsletter. And you will be notified before anybody else when we publish anything at all. Remember, everybody, it's a beautiful life. Make it count.